sorry, go ahead.
You have a, you got one? Just a tab.
You have a different agenda?
Just, yeah. Because it just has this on it, just about AIM stuff today. We don't have any votes or anything, so, yeah. Okay. D'Andre, you want to, or Carmelita? Kick us off.
Okay, well, it's 1:13, and what we're gonna do is have a quick moment of silence so we can begin. All of the people that we've lost, new year, new aim and ambitions. All right, roll call so we can establish a quorum and start. Carmelita Earls, present.
Arraywa Karen Winters present.
DeAndre Root is present.
Okay, we have a quorum 3 of 3, and we're going to begin. At this particular point, I'm going to lateral it so you can do whatever is necessary. It's now in the hands of Arraywa.
We, minutes?
I'm probably.
Okay.
I don't have one.
Yep.
I have them.
Yep.
Okay.
Backwards. Yeah, I'm just going to go. Yeah.
Okay, so, and I don't have my glasses, so that's why I told you to lateral with it. So you,
Oh, okay, bet.
you know what? Let me go.
Okay.
Okay. So minutes from last meeting, which was on 12/12/23 at 5615 West Race. We started at 6:06 p.m. We made quorum. Let me see. I see from public comment that we had one comment from community, was mentioning about being profiled
While driving.
while driving. I think that was Mr. Johnson.
Yeah.
Minutes from November 7th meeting was approved. Do I don't need to read the updates, do I?
No.
Chair, committee engagement nominator. And then updates were given. Summary, what is it? Summary of votes taken. And I guess that's it. 12 votes, and then, hey.
Let me see some real quick.
Oh, and then the representatives from Impact Equity.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Representative from Impact for Equity was with us, as well as the executive director, Mr. Adam Groves from CCPSA was with us. Okay, so we approve the minutes.
I motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 12th. Who
Motion
seconds?
has been made, and I'm going to second that we accept the meeting as written and as stated.
Okay. And so, updates. I'll go last, and then I'll just segue right
Okay.
into the discussion.
All right, so I'll start with updates. So my name is DeAndre Rudis. I am the Community Engagement Specialist for the 15th Police District Council. My role typically is to be the liaison between police and community, make sure communication channels are open. I also am the creator of our newsletters that come out every month, generally 2 weeks past the meeting date. For those that would like to sign up for the meeting, we have a QR code where it says contact us. That can also be used if you just have any issues with public safety and policing that you'd like to mention. We also have a public safety survey that also we're using to track our work that we do with the district council. We would hope that over the next 4 years that it continues to go up and we have a better public safety and policing accountability rating in the 15th district than when we started. So folks that are interested, please take those. For those that are watching the video, though they're here, hold your phone up to the screen and you're able to connect to the QR codes. The other thing that we're working on is we continually ask and let folks know that we are doing what's called speaking tour, listening tours. I'm sorry, listening tours. So with these listening tours, if there are any issues in public safety and police accountability that are relevant to the 15th district and our mission, we are willing to come out. We know that as folks come to our meetings, they may not be willing to share information, especially with a police presence, and so that gives an opportunity for folks to be able to share with us. Anything that is obtained is in terms of names are withheld. If there's issues, we do share those with our officers. The other thing that we're working on is continual education in various ways. So in November, we did a workshop, Know Your Rights, so that folks can understand this issue that we face in the 15th around pretextual stops, as well as what to do if you're a person that are either walking or riding in a vehicle and you feel like you've been unfairly stopped. We want to continue with those type of seminars, and so we're going to potentially have another one in March, and with community input, however you'd like to see it, we'd like to bring it to you. Otherwise, our partners that we used in the past, we'll talk with them with some of the issues that they believe are most prevalent in public safety and police accountability, and then we'll bring it to you. So we'll keep you notified of that. The other thing is we are currently in the process of setting up ride-alongs with the officers of the 15th District. We understand that this work isn't easy on both sides, and so we want to see what it's like to actually experience riding along with our officers of the 15th District. So we are currently in the process of setting those up right now. That stated, it is a new year, so I haven't had much contact with community since the last meeting we had, because it is a new year. And so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and you'd just like to reach out to me as the community engagement specialist, please reach out to me at 773-543-5968, or my email address, which is Deondre, DEONDRE, Rudis, RUTUES, 15DC@gmail.com. That's all for me.
Okay, hi, I'm Carmelita Earls, your chair of 15th District. I want to thank everyone for coming. Happy New Year to you. Let me start off by giving you an apology for the cancellation of our meeting on Tuesday. Just a snafu of timing, and per our Open Meetings Act, we have to comply with certain protocols, and that fell through the wayside. So thank you for modifying your time and your attention and being here today. If you sign the sign-in sheet and give your phone number, I'm going to send you this information regarding a public hearing with our superintendent. This is something that's open to the public. By all means, if you have any particular concerns, there's one going to be on the immediate south loop, and it's also going to be on the west side. So if you're interested in attending, it's open to you, and when I get that back, I will send it to you. As far as, sorry, I thought I turned that off. As far as, there you go, my fault. As far as any updates from the chair's perspective, I want to thank Sergeant Petrosonis for actually reaching out to an establishment within the 15th District, and she was very, very thankful for your personalized attention. And that's what this is about. This is about making sure that public safety, your input, will determine everyone's output. We use our partners, whether it's police, whether it's the organization here with men, what is it called?
Becoming a Man.
Becoming a Man, sorry about that, and other institutions. It's about us, putting our resources together, our institutional knowledge, and doing what's necessary to get this work done. So, again, thank you, and I'm done.
All right. So good morning again, everyone. And yes, absolutely. Thank you all for coming out today. So I am Araywa Karen Winters, and I am our nominator. So that means I am working in collaboration with the other 21 district counselors as we are looking for our next community commission. And so the applications went live on the 8th, on the 7th. On the 7th, I do have some hard copies here. If anyone is interested in serving on the community commission, it is a 4-year term, and I like to consider the community commission the inward facing, meaning they collaborate more along with the city. So they are responsible for things like creating goals for our superintendent, for our head of COPA, which is our Civilian Office of Police Accountability, as well as for our police board president. They also get to work on and draft policies for the department. They look at the department's budget. So we will be interviewing and selecting 14 candidates to present to the mayor. And out of the 14 candidates, the mayor will select 7. We have to have 2 members from the south side, 2 from the west side, 2 from the north side, and 1 member has to be what we consider citywide. They can come from any area. We have to have 2 attorneys, civil rights. Do they have to be civil rights attorneys? 2 attorneys, and they have to be have had community engagement for at least 10 years. And for this next body, we have to have 2 young people between the ages of 18 and 24. Currently, I just checked the email this morning. We have 3 applications. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. There's a listening session coming up.
Application period.
February 8th is the last day the application will be accepted. There is a webinar on the 27th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you go to the CCPSA website, you can register to take part in the webinar where we'll be giving more information about the application process. I also just wanted to mention that CCPSA is having listening sessions with the superintendent. The next one, and DeAndre can put this in our next newsletter as well. The next one will be Tuesday, January 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Oh, it's on there at the Putock Center, 2216 West Wentworth at 6:30. But then there's also one on Tuesday, January 30th. And that one is going to be at the JLM Life Center at 2622 West Jackson Boulevard. You need.
Yeah, no, I got that. Just pen.
Oh, a
Thank you.
pen. Okay. And so we'll put those up. And it's important that we attend these sessions because this is an opportunity like we've never had before where we get to engage with our superintendent. Now, what he does with it, that's on him. But we at least get to show up and voice some of our concerns, ask questions of him. And so that is an opportunity that we should take full advantage of. So try to make one of those public hearing meetings if you can. Meet him and, bend his ear a little bit. Superintendent sessions. There's and we'll put this in the newsletter too, but there's the Spring Police Academy coming up. I believe it's a 12-week?
12 week out.
The Community Academy 12 weeks?
I'm not sure. Do you know? Because I know that I could ask for sure. I know that I think
Eight.
Frank Brown used that.
Okay.
But we'll say 8 to 12.
So we're gonna put that information up also. The Community Academy information up. I'm definitely encouraging my co-counselors that if you haven't
plan to
taken it
attend,
already,
yeah.
that we should
Yeah.
definitely engage in the Community
Yeah.
Academy where we get to learn more in-depth information about what they go through in their trainings and other pertinent information that could be very relative to our work. And it just has the spring. It has March.
And
They
it's
don't
going to be
have
on
the dates
Tuesdays
yet.
too.
I want to say it's going to be
On
March
Tuesdays
or
from 6 to 8.
But I know it ends.
Okay, so that is coming up, and and you already talked about the ride along. So now what we're here for today,
Public comment.
and we're going to be. Oh, I'm sorry. But before we move into our discussion, is there any public comments?
Public comments. Anybody like to share anything? No?
Okay.
Oh, give me 1 second. No, just what I was discussing earlier. Y'all got to excuse me, like I said, I was at the funeral, so my mind is still over there. But what I was discussing earlier about an initiative that I'm working on called This Is Our Brain on Guns. Because unfortunately, this generation here is growing up on guns, similar to the generation when I grew up. I grew up in the 80s, and we grew up on the crack generation. While our community was inundated with crack cocaine, just like our community now is inundated with guns. And the mentality with our young people is that when they get triggered, they pull triggers. So I'm just really trying to bring awareness to how do we start to educate our young people on the gun in the brain, because that's what's killing our community right now. You know, music defines generation. This music is the drill music. Perception defines generation. And we have a gun problem here, just like we had a cocaine problem in the 80s. And so how do we start going back, really re-educating on all levels, in all sectors, to get this out? Because we really need to have a campaign. We always say stop the violence, but you can't stop the violence because poverty creates. But what you can do, you can bring awareness to the gun that we can control our own brain. And so I'm just trying to get enough people involved to help me push this initiative out, because I think if with more awareness, people start to do better. But you got to have awareness, and it got to make sense to our young people. You have to make it make sense to them. But the thing is, like I say, if the algorithm is every time they see it, if this is conflict resolution, this is how we're gonna settle conflict. And then that gun is actually part of the father. When we don't grow up without fathers, that gun become our protector, our provider, our vessel. So it's another issue that we deal with that too. That's our protector. So just having that knowledge and the science behind it now, I want this to be an initiative that also can take over and hopefully can spread. That's what I want to share.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of public safety, let me just say this before Councilor Winters starts.
I think this was yours anyway.
Before you guys came, we had a little round table, and Councilor Winters shared that the principal or the associate principal at a West Side school within 15th District, a great school, has lost 15 children since September. So on behalf of public safety, how can we really, I'm going to use the acronym AIM, to lessen this self-hate and this triggers or whatever it is. So that's why we're here. Because the police gets there after the deed is done. But how can we get there proactively to make sure there is not a deed? So that's why we're here.
Yes, it was heartbreaking to hear that. And we know it's happening. We see it and hear about it, every single day. Public safety is not just the burden of our police department, but it is the burden of our communities, that we all have to be engaged in public safety. How do we keep communities, families, businesses, how can we keep the 15th district safe? So as district counselors, because this is the first time this has happened in the country, there is no blueprint for us to do the work that we need to do. So we basically been having meetings every month, and we've been bringing in different presenters to, give information, but we still haven't created a vehicle by which we do the work that we need to do. And so I brainstormed, I came up with some basic things that I want to introduce to you all today. And we're going to kind of prioritize them and see, how do we feel about them. And then we're going to pick 3 of these things, and we're going to begin to build them out with the support of the department, of course. So I'm just going to, and like I said, again, these are just concepts. These are just ideas. These are just things that I was thinking about. And we definitely can add to this list. And because some of them may be feasible and some of them may not. But I'm going to introduce them to you all. So this initiative is called AIM, because one of the things that we are supposed to be doing is, we're always saying holding the police department accountable. But for me, and I believe for 15, I can speak for my co-counselors as well, in the 15th district, we don't believe that whatever that accountability is just about punitive measures. And I think a lot of the other districts, they're struggling a lot because that's how they're approaching this work. Everything is about when they do something and how we're going to go after them for doing it. But in 15, because we know some of our officers, I have friends in that department, people I love and care about in that department, and I don't want that to be the only way that I'm going to engage with them. And so some of these ideas came from meetings. Say, for instance, the first one, and I think it's enough for everybody. I only printed 10, but I think it's enough for everybody. Okay. So the first one is beat engagement. And we know the department may already be doing something around beat engagement, but what you hear a lot of times in some of our meetings is community members, especially some of our older community members, they're always saying that they want officers out of the vehicles, engaging with community members, whether that's going door to door, meeting people at bus stops, meeting, business owners, the churches letting out on Sunday and engaging with the people, that are coming from the houses of worship. How are we engaging in young people outside of the schools, not just, the school resource office inside the schools. So that's one, is to think about what that beat engagement could look like. Because when I was growing up, and I think for Carmelita as well, first of all, the department didn't switch officers around the way they do now. Because we knew the officers that were in our community. Right. We knew the ones we could trust and connect with, and we also knew the ones to stay away from. And that was just a given. We knew who they were because why? They were beat officers. They got out, they knew the business owners, they knew the gang members, they knew who was who and doing what because of that level of engagement. And I think it would behoove us to return to some of that, but I know it may be a little difficult because of the way the department, moves people around. Then the other one is a community mediation program. The reason I brought this one up is because right now there is a mediation program through the Civilian Office of Police Accountability. And this means that when community members file a complaint with COPA, COPA can refer this complaint to the Center for Conflict Resolution, which right now the city has a contract with to do the mediations. But I've been, since this whole thing first came up, so this started under Mayor Lightfoot. The Center for Conflict Resolution did a 6-month probationary program. It was picked up by the mayor. They've been contracted to do this work. And I've been asking about this program. How has it been going? Who did they do? Who have they been doing the mediations with? And now this has been going on for over a year. I finally got a meeting next week so they can kind of give some data, some background, some input as to how the program is going. However, to me, they're only looking at escalated incidents. But if we look at community mediation on a district level, this means when there are small infractions, that same Center for Conflict Resolution, can train community members how to become mediators. So when there's say for instance, this is hypothetically, if there's an incident, a community member wants to file a complaint, they would talk to district counselors and we would have some type of intake form or something. Then we would have 24, 48 hours to get in contact with our commander to say, we've gotten this complaint from this individual, here's the intake form. Now the commander can talk to the officer and go through whatever happened with the community member. The officer, it is optional. The officer can voluntarily agree to participate in the mediation. And then this is when the trained community member will be engaged in the mediation. So this means if I have an infraction and this mediation takes place, this is not me bringing my whole family into this dynamic. This is not the police department bringing the whole department into the dynamic. This is a very isolated piece between these two individuals. Maybe they can have an advocate of their choice in the mediator. Maybe one of the district councils even should be present. And we try to resolve this amongst ourselves, that we don't have to wait for COPA, because COPA is not looking at a lot of the smaller infractions. They're just not. By the time you get to COPA, you really should be looking at a civil rights attorney. These are the larger infractions that they're looking at. They're not looking at if I'm crossing the street and a police officer yells some obscenity at me out the window because they're having a bad day. Now, that's a problem for me, and I want this addressed. They're not looking at those kinds of things, but we should be looking at those kinds of things, especially with us trying to build trust with our community, with our officers. And I'm gonna add this to that. And the reason I say this is because a lot of times, and this is just me being fully transparent in this moment, for African Americans, anytime we have an incident with a non-African or officer of color, the first thing we have a tendency to do is to say that officer is being racist. That officer could just be having a bad freaking day. They don't have to be that. But if we don't have these type of engagements, we don't have an opportunity to have that exchange. And to even go a step further, maybe after this mediation, because we're talking about some harm, someone has been harmed, and that harm has not been repaired. This gives an opportunity to begin to repair. And a step further is to even think about following it with a peace circle. Right? So this is us in the 15th district addressing this harm, creating these safe spaces for us to be able to process, talk through, and to move on to something bigger and better.
And let me ask you, Councilor Winters, is this something that goes on the record or this is kept in-house?
It is kept in-house. And even with COPA, this doesn't, to my understanding from the limited piece I know about it, it doesn't go in the officer's records.
Outstanding.
And it is voluntary.
Outstanding.
Okay, so that's how it is now, but hopefully I'll get more information next week. But then it becomes a matter of who pays CCR to train community members and, you know, that whole thing. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, it's just a big idea. Positive community interactions. Now, per the independent monitor, the police department, and my number may be off, and I have to look back at this, but it's in her summary. The police department should have, and this is not just the 15th district, this is the department as a whole, should have completed at least, I want to say 100,000. She may have even had 1 million, but they were supposed to have completed quite a few of these positive community interactions with the community members, and I'm sure it's paperwork. And I know people don't like paperwork. I used to be in social work, and we don't like paperwork. And I think that has been some of the pushback of the department, because anytime you mention this, it's like, oh my God, positive community interactions, yuck. But I think this is also important for us to be able to record things that are happening in our community, because it's a positive community interaction, and we like to hear more of those. But on the opposite side, we also need to hear negative community interactions too, because they exist and they are real. But my thought about this is taking this out of the police officers' hands and putting this on the community. Meaning, you know, we create some type of form or something, whether it's online, whether we put them in our libraries or wherever. So when someone has a positive community interaction with an officer, and people do, in this community, people do have these interactions, and they should record them, and we can keep track of these, and we should note these for the department, as well as the negative community interactions, which could possibly lead to mediations. But that's another thing that could, you know, take a lot of, you know, effort and work, but it is just a thought. And I know we're nowhere near the number that the independent monitor has put in her summary that should have been completed by the department. The next one is a quarterly report card, because a lot of times people are always talking about response times, which isn't solely on the department. We've learned that the Office of OEMC is also responsible for, you know, the response times. The clearance rates, people are always saying that, you know, crime and things are happening, but clearance rates are kind of dismal and low. But I think from department to department, some departments may be doing better than other departments. And I just think it would be a good opportunity for community members to be made aware of that and know what those are. And break it down like really simply, like really basically. It may even be on the website somewhere, but who really is going to the CPD website? It's a lot of information there. And I think things just, something as basic and simple as that could get missed. But if we did it in a report card and sent it out, you know, to folk in the district, I think that could be, because our numbers are down. We go to the beat meetings, they'll tell you know, these numbers are down, these numbers are down. But overall, the community does not know this.
Yeah,
and, you know, per the media, let them tell it. We really don't know that. We already talked about the ride
I
along.
would say let's pause right there
I'm sorry.
for feedback. It's a lot. So let's, any thoughts, questions,
Oh, okay.
responses? Yeah, just right there, and then we'll come back.
Okay, before I get to the ride
So,
along.
yeah, you got a
Okay.
couple of them already.
Okay. A couple of questions?
Yeah, responses, like, yeah, let's.
More of a comment. So in terms of response times for the report, I've realized, and there's somewhere maybe we can try to figure out a way to get the community more involved. A lot of times, because I know that the response time is a big issue, obviously, and I think a lot of people have been calling 311 as opposed to 911, and I really would like to get it out there more to ensure that they're calling 911, because a lot of times, even when I spoke with, one of your colleagues, she's like, oh, well, please don't come, and I said, they don't come. I said, I find, we were talking back and forth and having a conversation. Yeah, I called 311. I said, oh. And I think it's something that's happening right now. I said, well, how, and I even talked to parents, I said, we need to get something out where people, because they think, oh, well, it's not, emergency, like right now, someone's, shooting right now or something. But it's like, well, they're doing, narcotic sales, or this happened right now. We need to know that. And a lot of times we don't even get that call. So that's like, oh, the police aren't showing up. It's not that we don't even get it because there's a call taker, then it goes to dispatch, and then and we prioritize our calls. So by the time that, or saying I just that disconnect, I really would like to get it out there and ensure that we're like 911 for something like of that nature. Like if there's a report just to be made because there was a theft from a report or something like that, then we call 311. But something happening right now, we want the police to come, 911. So maybe we
put that
can
in the newsletter too.
talk or maybe get some, I don't know, something. I just don't want, we want those calls. We need to know, what's
And not
311.
going on at that
211.
time.
I'm just
'Cause
gonna put
we also don't want the
the-
people to
yeah.
view it as, well, the police just aren't showing up.
And 988.
That's-
We might not even get that call.
That's profound because that was an administrator with that mindset.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I mean, we were going back and forth, and it was just, just through this conversation, and then I was like, call it. I said, and she goes, yeah, well, call 311. I said, oh no, she's like, well, it's not an emergency. I'm like, but I was like, oh my goodness, so we kind of just, I kind of explained to her the process, and she's like, I didn't know that, and I'm thinking, how many more people
Yes.
are out there, and it's not, and her reasoning was very, valid, exactly. It was, I understand, I didn't even think that, but I'm thinking, oh, they probably had no idea these calls were even coming. I looked up the calls for service for that block, and that's how it started. That's exactly it. I looked it up before I even talked with her, and I'm thinking, there was 2 calls in the last 4 months.
See?
She's like, I call all the time, and I said, I'm like, what are you calling? And I'm not, I'm great. I said, call 911, please. I talked to the manager, we gotta figure out something,
Okay.
That's-
to get the word out.
We're gonna put it in our newsletter.
I think a lot of people are confused,
But
maybe.
I think, yeah.
I was going to say we'll also
Too.
share that with your B facilitator, Velda Bruner,
Yeah,
because
I
when
brought
she
it up
goes
in a
around.
meeting, I've been going to
Yes.
a couple and bringing it up, but unfortunately because of the weather, there's we haven't had a lot of
I know.
people coming out. I wonder if anything, that's why I almost wish they would allow the Zoom again, but they won't, just because I feel like, especially with the weather, a lot of
Yeah.
elderly people or people that
Say
may
that.
not want to come out
Zoom.
because of the weather, or anyone, even young people, I understand it.
Yeah, we talked about that too, even for us, because we supposed to have them, but we feel like we would get more attendance if we did them virtually. So we got to talk about that in our next all DC meeting.
Can I just segue for a second? I spoke with some sponsors yesterday, and we had a lunch after the breakfast with the mayor. If we could, unfortunately, raffle off a bike to a younger person or something, maybe they would get them in the door. They said whatever it takes, however you draw them.
Okay.
So if we can get those sponsors together to have them in the seat, and they know that there's a possibility that somebody's leaving with something, possibly a bike. They can't drive it right now, but whatever it is, it's got to be a gimmick. And unfortunately, when people leave with something, not just information, they come.
And they usually,
Yes. Thank you.
Joy.
These are all excellent ideas, and they're all valuable. But just reading over the material, it seems like a lot of them can be built upon and restore and transform the relationships with the police and the community. I think first and foremost. And
Wait, what is that?
I have gone through the Center for Conflict Resolution, and it's a really excellent program. It really is helping you to mediate situations and know how to come to a common ground. But what I see here would be my top 3 would be the engagement, conflict resolution, and mental health, because I feel like that is really what's crippling our community. far as community participants, just youth. And I feel like after we establish those relationships and get people to talking, because effective communication can solve a lot of different situations. And also addressing the trauma that community is experiencing as well as police officers, because I can only imagine what it's like to go home with that, as well as school administrators. Like to hear she's lost 15 students, like that's just unbelievable.
Man.
You know, that's really sad. And I just feel that with this body, you know, again, just restoring relationships and then being able to transform them. And I grew up where there was officer friendly. Like that was the engagement program. I don't know what happened to officer friendly, but right here with the beat engagement, community engagement, it's typically done during back to school and August. But if we can do that year round and just do more events like cleaning greens and, you know, having communities come out and having the police come out and, you know, just get that communal feeling back, I think everything on here may eventually happen, but the community and mental health piece is essential to us coming up with viable solutions to eradicate the gun violence that's happening.
Okay, I agree. So okay, thank you for that. And we're gonna look at I want everybody to kind of fill out your 1 through 10, and so then we are gonna look at what are the biggest ones that we think, because all of them are gonna take some like development. So you know we're gonna have to work on those things. And so the next one was the ride along. I have community ride along there, and I'm gonna tell you why I had that. At one of the community commission meetings, someone from the police board came out, and he was just sharing some information, and one of the things he talked about was not about community members riding with police officers, but police officers riding with community members. But then when I reached out to him, he gave me his card, and when I reached out to him, he was like, he didn't know what I was talking about. So I was like, I'm gonna have to go back, because they have all of their recordings up, and I'm gonna have to go back. I know it was at the Caring Center. I'm gonna have to go back to that meeting and make sure I didn't miss anything and not misconstruing anything. But that's why it says community ride along. But I guess we could put slash and ride alongs as well. And we do have the application for that. We have to go through Area 4 as well as the commander. So DeAndre could put that link on the newsletter as well if that's something that community members are interested in. Then as far as the community teach-ins, and this is like a long one. This is a big one. We have so many community organizations in our community that's doing so much great work that I think we a little remiss if we are not doing some type of education and awareness with our officers. So that, and again, that's just like whether it's Bobby Wright mental health, whether it's becoming a man, you definitely could, at the work you do, could do a presentation for our police officers. And so that's what that is, community teach-ins. So that's big. And I put in the last sentence there that I just recently attended the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, and one of the things they said is that we can't change culture, but we can change behaviors. And another reason for that is because we've learned also that a lot of our officers, when they come out of the academy, the first time they are in communities like this or dealing with people of color is right when they come out of the academy. So there's these differences. There's not enough cultural awareness. There's not enough, not enough nuances about, who we are and, why we do some of the things that we do. And I think if we had this kind of engagement where we could do these teach-ins, that would really help circumvent some of that, in my personal opinion. When you get to see us up close and personal and get to learn about us from us and not what's seen on television or not what's perpetuated in the media, that could create some really dynamic relationships for officers in the 15th district and community members.
Council, let me just also interject. That's also the first time that a lot of our children that have not been out of the neighborhood encounter someone else of a different ethnicity or culture.
Yes, to the
So it's a two-way street, so to speak. So the educational piece will also benefit the community.
You know, so when Ron Emmanuel was, we used to do band circles with Polish, and we used to do community basketball games with them. But then we used to bring them into our groups, and so we teach 6 core values. And so accountability, integrity. We have a circle around one of the core values: self-determination, positive expression. And when some of the young guys were starting to see that, police officers, they suffer from the same thing we suffer from. Sometimes they be out of integrity, accountability, self-determination. What caused them to be out of that? So now they got to actually see some of the officers a little bit different. Even with me, I never thought I'd be the take to police officers. Because I experienced a lot of trauma with 15 when it was right here, when the 15th district was here. But I'm gonna tell you how ironic it is. One of the officers that arrested me for a gun in the 90s, I actually was his mentor, his son mentor in the Become a Man program. And I found that, I'm like, wow, I said that ago, I said, man, your father arrested me for a gun now, and I'm mentoring you.
Circle of life.
Circle of life. But it's imperative that we have these community teachings, because we learn so much from the men, just doing our Becoming a Man group. Because at the end of the day, we all want to come on.
That's right.
And we all have fear and anxiety. And that's our survival emotions. And when in drilling to get to Russian, we usually make decisions out of our savage brain.
Yeah.
And that be the correct biological response sometimes. And sometimes we get punished for making the correct biological response due to the fact that we get triggered. And me and my partner, we just got certified to be a trauma life, resiliency life coach.
Okay.
And this is one of the things that we,
To the Arizona Trauma Institute?
yes.
I have mine.
And so this is what we want to try to come out and train on.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we are making the correct biological response to the way we've been triggered.
Yeah.
And that just needs to be constant dialogue
Yeah.
on how do we regulate, consistently regulate, because all of us have to be more regulated because we aware. It's about
Yeah.
bringing awareness. So
That's profound.
I'm real big on this community teaching.
Yeah. But what you just said about the life coaching piece, it kind of ties into the Mindful Mondays. And so one of the things that the superintendent has talked about is officer wellness. And this is important to me because, you know, I worked at Bobby Wright around mental health, but it's also important to me because I think so oftentimes, and I don't know why we like this, but we do have an expectation of our officers, but we fail to think about what they deal with and see on a day-to-day basis. And I based that on a conversation that I had with one of the young ladies I worked with around the Consent Decree Coalition, and we were just talking about the trauma, and then this whole, and it's not just a stigma. Black people have a stigma about behavioral health, and we know police officers have a stigma about behavioral health because I think somewhere it makes us look weak or vulnerable when we get the help that we truly need, right?
Right.
But the reason we were talking about this is because she was saying she had a friend who was a police officer, and a child had been brutally beaten, a little girl had been brutally beaten by her father, killed by her father, pretty much broke every bone in this baby's body. I think she might have been 3 years old. And she said, Araywa, she told me that they couldn't put the baby in the back of the, I guess when you pick up sometime you have to put them in the, I don't know where they go. She said, but the baby couldn't because she's too small and she would have been, so she said she had to carry the baby. She said, could you imagine? And that just made me think, like, they experience a lot of that. That's not an anomaly. That's not something that happens. And that really just changed that changed a lot in me in terms of how I look at our police officers and to humanize them. You know, and I know that needs to happen both ways, but we definitely have to humanize them. So Mindful Mondays is an ask, and I was thinking about reaching out to the Arizona Trauma Institute to kind of get some volunteers to do that piece, to give them a vehicle by which they can call someone. And this is not clinical. No one is trying to diagnose you with anything. All life coaching is truly is having, you know, someone who is going to intently listen, and then to hopefully be able to give you tools and resources, whether it's breathing, which helps regulate, you know, our systems, yoga, meditation, whatever the case may be. But to have someone for Mondays, our officers do check-ins, whether you are checking in with a clergy or your pastor, or whether you're checking in with your commander or someone who you trust and respect, just to kind of decompress and get some of all that's in you out. And so that's the and I don't even know how we would regulate that. That's a big act, but to just do something as simply as on Mondays, you know, officers, whether at the beginning of your shift, at the end of your shift, or at some point throughout the day, just do some kind of check-in with someone that you love and respect, or, you know, trust enough to just take a few moments to just, you know, and again, this is nothing that I think needs to be documented, or, you know, unless there's some, even in life coaching, the only way, you know, we're going to say something is if, you know, someone is threatening to harm themselves or someone else. But outside of that, it's just an opportunity for officers to be able to be comfortable enough to have those conversations, to relieve themselves, you know, of that which they're carrying, if they're not already. So that's what Mindful Mondays are about.
May I
which
just say
think is
this?
major.
It's great that you have this on the table, and I'm glad to hear that it's not a documented type of thing, because labeling is disabling.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, because as a former first responder, you don't want to necessarily go to EAP, because then it will jeopardize you being in active service to stay on duty, and for whatever reasons, although it's something that may be needed because your accountability partner or your team may see that your behavior is somewhat changing. So let's be very, very cognizant as to how we are going to propose this, because let's just take, since we're speaking police officers, no one wants their gun or badge taken away, but to reach out and say, listen, that call did something to me. I can personally tell you that I started drinking from the images as a firefighter that we saw. And I probably should have been fired in 2004 or 5, because I acted out in a manner that was inappropriate. If the fire department was under as much scrutiny as the police department is, I never would have retired. Let's just face it, because out of being human, there was something that was my breaking point. We had a young child, this is being recorded, so I'm just going to be honest, a young child that was found deceased in Henry Horner, and all of the first responders were Caucasian or other, black. I'm the investigator, and the aunt basically said that it took us 20 minutes to get from Madison and Levitt. We know that's a lie. But that was her way of covering up the fact that she went to get whatever high her groove on upstairs in the building, left the kids unattended. I put my hands on that woman. That's assault. I should have been fired. The media caught that image. You know, the parkway from Washington to the building is about 75 feet. Don't know how this reporter caught that image with a telescoping lens, but that was my wake-up call, to see myself on the front page with my hands like this. Mm-hmm. He said I was consoling her. Had he heard my conversation, it was nothing of the sort. So I'm sharing that as a personal first responder that had been overwhelmed by what I saw. So I can put myself in you guys and ladies' shoes, because you have to go home, put the smile on, and be mom, dad, sister, wife, brothers, whatever, and not have your family worry about you. So please, when we do that initiative, let's make sure that it does not do them more harm than help.
Yeah.
And so that's powerful.
Yeah. And then the last thing is, and this is going to happen regardless, so I'm going to take this upon myself. I'm going to do this. And this is Radical Welcome Wednesdays. I would like to do it to schedule it along with our roll calls, which we supposed to do quarterly roll calls. I guess maybe the first or second week in the month. Radical welcomes it's something related to, like, this is something that churches are doing now. But I met someone, his name is Dr. Batts, and he says he does this with his organization. And this is when, his folk come to work, it's almost like, how the Bulls, they do those lines, and when they coming down the lines, they cheering them on. Yeah. So that's what Radical Welcome Wednesdays are. It's like that one Wednesday. If I could get community buy-in to show up at, one of the roll calls and just, let our officers know that, we care about them, we're supporting them. Somebody want to give them a quick prayer, slip a Starbucks gift card on them, just something, because these relationships, they really have to be built upon, because one of the things in the ordinance, and I always reiterate this point in particular, and it says when you have a community where community members and police are authentically engaged and working together, it can decrease a lot of the mayhem that is happening. And so that's what the Radical Welcome Wednesdays is, to just, kind of give that, because I know somebody was saying, what she said, she hugged the officer, and the officer was like surprised. He hugged her like, what? We are human at the end of the day, and we're gonna have to really begin to, treat each other as such, and not always blame and point fingers. And I am guilty. I've come a long way in the last 6-7 years in this work, only because I'm doing this work at a different level and a different capacity now. And so I had to shift my brain around not only my brain, my heart around how I do this work and how I think about, my police department. So that's the Radical Welcome Wednesdays. It say radically welcome community seeks to welcome the voices, the presence, and the power of all people. So yeah, that's right. So that one's gonna happen. So y'all don't even have to number that one. It's gonna happen, and we will let community know in enough time if you have the space or capacity to come out and support whenever it takes place. So those Radical Welcome Wednesdays, as a district counselor, I'm gonna make it my business to make those happen. Yeah, absolutely. So now if you just kind of take a few moments, maybe about 5-10 minutes, and kind of prioritize. And I really just want your top 3. And then we'll take the top one, and we're gonna do a quick SWOT analysis, because it will be the first one that we'll go to work on, and hopefully be able to create a timeline and start implementation of it.
Real quick, I just want to acknowledge the young men at the table.
Okay.
A lot of times we don't acknowledge our young men. And our young people, it's good. They have to be at these tables.
Wait, let me do this, and I'm glad you said that, because actually we could do it's only a few of us. Let's do a quick round of introductions, and we'll start right there. If you give me a name, and I know what organization you're with, but let us know who you with and where you live in 15.
My name is Monte Dutton, and I'm with Root to Fruit and ASAP, Austin Safety and Action Plan, and I'm from the Austin area, right around Central LA.
Sergeant Petrosonis, I'm a DCO sergeant here in the 15th district, and
Kenya Hawkins, president and founder of Your Edition not-for-profit, where we specialize in trauma-informed care services and mental health.
My name is Demar West. I'm with Root to Fruit /ASAP. I'm from the Austin community, and I grew up on Carside, Ohio.
Okay.
Hi, I'm DCO Jessica Medina.
Officer Sabu, DCO Officer 15th District.
Community Outreach Coordinator for CCPSA, and I support the district council.
Carmelita Earls, one of your counselors.
DeAndre Rudis, the counselor for community engagement. I'm sorry.
Karewa Karen Winters, lifelong Austin resident and community nominator.
Al Stinson, co-founder of Your Edition, also Youth Guys and Becoming a Man program, community advocate, community uplifter, and I live 5200 West Van Road.
And the fruit of what you represent.
Yes.
Same.
That's it.
Brewster just to say they doing some dynamic work in the community. Aisha Oliver, she's also my community leadership fellow sister. And I texted her early this morning because she texted me yesterday. She said my guy's gonna be there. And I woke up, I texted her early. I said I'm so glad they're gonna be there because we need young people voices in this work.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that you all, continue, to kind of show up and be with us. And I'm gonna tell you why. For me, I don't really have problems with the police, personally, me. But I know that a lot of young people may. But if your voices aren't involved in how we shape this work, this is an opportunity we have absolutely, positively never had before. And we need to know where you are. We need to hear your voices, hear your thoughts, hear your concerns, hear your problems, hear your issues. You don't have to go to them and tell them nothing. You can come and tell us. You can come to us and we can help resolve some of these things for you or mediate some of these things for you. So I'm hoping that, that you all continue to, come to our meetings if and when you can. If you can't come to the meetings, get with us before. Aisha has our information. We'll give you all some cards. But even around the community commission, we need some young people. We need 2 young people from 18 to 24, and I would love for some young person from the West Side to be one of the people that fill those spaces. So, if you want to think about it, let me know.
Been checking about it.
Okay.
Check it out for sure.
Okay.
I just feel like in this scenery itself, I feel like we got to do a better job of meeting the people that we want to, our audience. Like, you feel me, as y'all saying, we're trying to get more young people in this table, in this conversation. We got to meet them where they at, or actually get them a reason, like she was saying, creating them incentives for a young person to actually be here. Like, in reality, what young person from 16 to 24 in a cafe on Saturday just sitting to some form and talk. So even aside from it, the way how we incorporate them into doing it, but even the informal way for them to be able to feel like they actually are part of it and they actually included. Because in the sense of it, like, I can do this, I actually do this type of thing, and I will actually listen to y'all, but people my age, not finna just sit here and listen to you talk for an hour straight, and you feel like you get a response from it. Like, you feel like a response from something, so like, finding ways to intergenerate it to a way that everybody can be able to feel included and not so diversified to the point where we just telling our mission and we're looking for a response, but looking for a way that we can all collaborate on this one goal or whatnot. It don't even have to be specifically, we know we're here to figure out what we're trying to do, but in a sense we can have some type of different sense for us being here, no matter if that's just being a game or some type of whatever that may be, but that's a different way for us to be able to come and collaborate and talk to each other, because we know we're here for a specific reason, but that don't mean that's what we got to be doing specific the whole time type of thing. So just finding ways to just intergenerate and help people to be able to bring what they actually have to the table to actually present that, because it's hard to present when you're not, like, even if you're not asked the right questions type of thing, to be able to respond to those type of things. So just, you feel me, going about it, learning more into it, just intergenerating type of thing.
So you're telling me to bring my game box next time?
I mean, not even necessarily, but I feel exactly what you said. Let's go into it, but definitely, you feel me, just in the sense of it, just to getting them more of a, even if our audience of our specific audience is more older elders or whatnot, we wouldn't just necessarily bring a game box or whatnot. We'll try to maybe do a bingo game or whatnot, whatever it is, just to actually get them something that they will enjoy doing. So now that they all structured and how we finna do X, Y, and Z with the police is actually about me coming to present my ideas, me presenting to collaborate with the people around me, or me actually learning more about what's going on. But it's not just structure around what we're actually doing. So now we have other things to do. So now my mind can roam. Now I can actually get up and move around. I can actually go X, Y, and Z and all that.
We have our co-sponsor.
Yeah, I know, right? That's why we need you. We need you.
Right, real quick, just to back off what he said, that's what made our program successful. When we started the Becoming a Man program, we only had like 5 schools. But the first thing I told them about me growing up in the neighborhood, in third world like poverty, you got to go through these young people's stomachs to get to their head. So you got to have some type of incentive. You got to have some food, $25 gift card or something, because you want to let them know that you're investing in them. And like I say, when you're hungry, the first thing I always ask my boys, how their stomach feel. What's going on in your stomach? Because if that's making noise, that shut this noise off up here. So it's imperative that when we do things like that, you do have to have something where these young people can walk out the door with, physically, and then take something out there mentally with them.
Yes.
But that's how you got to bring them in.
That's Shay. Okay. Thank you for that. And that was received. So we want to just kind of go around. I'm just going to kind of notate here. I'm just going to put here like, Carmelita,
Hashtag.
give me your top 3. Like, what's your one? What's your first one? What's your highest priority?
My positive community interactions was number 1. My number 2 was community teach-ins, and I started listening to the young brother. I didn't get to the third one, but if I had to choose, it would be the community mediation program.
Okay. Alrighty. You did it, Isaiah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my number 1 is positive community interactions.
Okay.
My number 2 is community mediation program.
Okay.
And my 3 would be the Radical Wednesdays.
Alright. Okay. Officer?
Give me 1 second. Just kind of looking at it real quick.
You ready?
So they still looking at. I got you.
Yeah, I would say mine would be the Mindful Mondays. I think that's very important.
Okay.
My second one would be the ride-alongs.
Okay.
I think it's important for community members to really see firsthand,
That's a fact.
so they can understand and empathize with our job. And the third would be the positive interaction.
Okay.
Yeah, that would maybe be my third.
I said Mindful Mondays.
Number 1? That's your one?
I said be the first one.
Okay.
And I say it's out of between the report card and the rally.
Okay. Yeah, so the report card. Okay.
So for me, I said, number 1 is be engagement, number 2, community mediation, and number 3, the Mindful Monday.
Okay.
I think engagement should be number 1 too, because I think that's really important. I also thought the mediation could really maybe work out if we could find a system in some way for that to work on both ends for the community to be, very easily accessible for them, but also the police department. So if we can find I think that would really help. I mean, the positive community interactions I think are also always important because again, it's the negative part. I agree with to a point because we obviously want to see it, but I think that also ties in with the mediation maybe. If we need some help.
That's true. We kind of circumvent the other one, right? True. Thank you.
For my 1 and 2, I'm really neck and neck between beat engagement and community teach-ins. Between them 2, I'm definitely 1 and 2. But my third one, Mindful Mondays for sure. But I really want to challenge that one to like more so instead of it being like a Mindful Monday, actually challenge not only the police department but any jobs around the city to actually present. I mean, it's gonna be hard for a boss or a supervisor or whatnot to do everything that's in their job description and figure out, and focus on the personal lives of another. I challenge them to actually incorporate someone with that type of job in jobs to actually focus on the well-being of people. Because if we have all these different jobs and whatnot, X, Y, and Z, it is hard to find a balance between these and when you don't know. So you think I challenge it to not more so just being a Monday, but actually make that something that's essential to the job day, to the job workforce or whatnot, regardless of what it is, just to being able to check in and being able to make sure my buddy on the next to me is good, or whoever I'm working with that day is actually
Make it
in
a
the right
district
mind
check
space or
in.
whatnot. You feel me? So challenging
How about it?
that.
That can happen. We can work on that. Okay, make it a district check-in. And I hear you, because you know what? Police officers not the only one deal with trauma. Pretty much everybody working in this community pretty much on some level dealing with some kind of trauma. Yeah, I'll say. Okay, Brother Al.
My number one is community teaching.
Okay.
Just like we learning now what the gifts are. Like our young brother right teaching us now.
Hello.
So we all got a gift.
Yeah.
And just like here, the culture unfortunately is what it is. How do we start changing behavior? That's big because this culture just ain't get it. We may not see our culture change, but how do we start to change some of the behaviors where these young people can keep that fight up and eventually they can change the culture because it's going to be up to them. Then too, definitely the Mindful Mondays. We all need to check in. You know, that's the first thing we do in our program. We do a past check-in, physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. We ask everybody how they doing on them 4 demands. Yeah, we all need that. And then 3 would be the beat engagement.
Okay. All right, DeAndre.
So I had the community teach-ins, beat engagement, and community mediation program. And Mindful Mondays was 4, so I know that's coming up a lot, but that was my number 4.
Okay. And so my first one was community mediation. My second was beat engagement. And then my third was the community teach-ins. So what I want to do real quick, I could say, 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like beat engagement is the number 1. And then coming behind that, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2. Community mediation is 2. 1, 3, 2, 3. Oh wow. Okay, number 3 is tricky because, wait, 1, 2, 3. 3, Mindful Mondays is 3. But right after that came positive community interactions, and who else got 2 number 3s? Oh, and community teach-ins. So I'm gonna just put these next to these. Now, real quick, before we wrap up and close out, so this puts us at a good place. I just want, oh, here we go. I just want us to think about, if you just make sure everybody get one of these. For beat engagement, I just want us to, real quickly, if we do the same thing, if you just take a moment and you look at this SWOT analysis. And SWOT analysis is simply what could be the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats when we think of beat engagements. And for the same reason, if you could just give me one for each. Just take a moment and think about it. So when we think about our strengths, what could we do well? What could set us apart from other districts, of course? And what are the good qualities that could come out of the beat engagement? What could the weaknesses be, and where would we need to improve? What could the opportunities be when we think about beat engagement in the community, and what could a goal be? And the threats, what would keep us from basically achieving this goal? What could a hindrance, or who could a hindrance be when we want to think about the beat engagement for officers in the 15th district? So if you just, and you don't have to give one for each, you can just, whatever your strongest one is. I just want to write a few things down as we are pulling these pieces together. I'm like, this is what. And then I was feeding Rooster Fruit today. I did tell Aisha that too. So as soon as you all wrap up, y'all can go over. They got wraps and potatoes.
Oh, God, that's pretty good.
And so we typically have food every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But today was our reschedule, and it was midday,
And it's a
so we
restaurant. We
didn't.
normally don't bring it in a restaurant.
Yeah, we can't bring food in here, but we do. We feed, and we have been trying to do some little incentives. But they don't give us no money. We gotta do everything out of our own pocket. So
She's got more money than everybody.
absolutely not.
You know, he's getting his doctorate.
He's
Well,
a
the
A
student.
lot of finance.
Once we get this nonprofit up, so we'll be able to kick in. So that's what it'll go.
love.
So
Yes, we
That
need
tuition
some
is
help.
on him, so.
200,000.
we need that.
That's thunder for a doctor. That's fine.
But we definitely do have to think about like getting some kind of like sponsorship, like you said, like somebody kick us down a few dollars.
Philanthropists are looking for us, and we're gonna
Well,
find
we
them.
best to start showing up.
You think?
Tap into our man.
Where we at?
So we're gonna take about if we can wrap at 2:30 today, that would be great. So we got about 3-4 minutes. So if you all just wanna go around real quick, Carmelita, what do you think? Just give me any one. What do you think could be a strength, a weakness? What could be opposition or a threat? Opportunity. I'm sorry. Opportunity.
Yeah, we talked about positions earlier.
earlier.
Well, I think our strength is the fact that we have great partners.
Great
With
partners.
CPD,
Ashe.
we have the police department always present. We have a diverse group of counselors, come from different backgrounds, education to civil rights work to actually first responder as well as community service my entire life. So our strength is to continue to collaborate, understand that collectively we all have the answer, and just continue to bring people on board.
Okay. Isaiah, anyone? Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat?
The strength. Just talking about the district, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Just I do assist 5 districts, and not just because I'm from here, but this is like the best. You know, I love coming to these meetings.
Hey! Yeah, if you being recorded, man,
I'm not lying though, you know. But and it's all about like, you know, the way y'all carry the meetings, the information. 'Cause there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know that I'm learning, you know, just coming to this.
Okay. Thank you for that. Hey.
It's because you're with us.
All right.
Brother Sabu?
Is this just for the 15th district? or
Yes,
is-
it's
okay.
for 15. Yeah, we only concerned about one side.
Okay, all right, just making sure. For strengths, I guess, for big engagement, is like we have strong camps, like office in 15, and we have a small district here, like size-wise, so it's easier for officers to kind of like, get around a little bit more.
Okay.
For weaknesses, I put that, there needs to be more officers out there, because we are definitely overwhelmed with calls, and it's just like hard to kind of get out of the car if you're going from call to call to call. It's just like sometimes you're staggering calls too. So,
Okay.
and then also comes back to needing officers that actually want to interact with the communities that they work in.
I want to add something. It's just like what this brother said. Growing up, I never thought like I would be doing this work and interacting with the police. You know, but I actually have a project that I'm working on through the CCPSA, and it's actually I want to host like a basketball tournament with officers and young adults, and maybe we can groom these young adults to maybe become a policeman or a firefighter. So that's just something that I want to do.
I want you to read what's on that sheet. Let me tell you what's confirmation. He just wrote down what I stated. There's a pastor right down the street, 820 North Central. He told me he has a gym with a rubber floor. That's rare. Yes. And his name is Pastor Miller. He says, I says, listen, this is something that we want to work on. He says, anytime you want it. So you just spoke. What was written down, let's just make it happen. And you look like you can handle it. You got some handle.
Hopefully got some game over there. Middle school, we used to go down there and open that gym.
Okay.
We used to, I used to go to Key School before they closed down, so we used to travel down home to that gym.
I got a mean crossover, brother. So
I make nachos. You got something for us?
For strength, I put that, there's a lot of community events where there's like a lot of officers able to come out and meet the community right on the street, whether it be block party or just events that we come together. And the community's pretty tight knit, so it's easy to see the same faces often. But on the other hand, the weakness is there's opposed to back in the day where people lived in the same spot forever. There's a big turnover with residents,
this
so
is
it's hard to
true.
get to know someone when they're moving, even if it's a couple blocks or moving from neighborhood to neighborhood. So,
Okay.
and even with police department, we move around a lot more
Yeah.
than back years ago. So officers are getting different spots, promoted, or bouncing around districts or positions. So that's a little hard too to, once you finally get in your spot, and then they're like, oh, you're moving here, or you're moving to a different watch even. So then people change. You work at midnights, it's a different community than during the day.
Okay, thank you
My
for
husband
that.
was in this district. I only been here for 2 years. He was here for like 15, and now he's like 25. But he was here forever. I mean, he knows. It's like to move him, and people are still calling him. So it's great. I mean, it is important, and he still carries on those relationships and passes on. So he doesn't. He'll still answer the phone. I'll still hear him talking to people. So I'm happy for that. But yeah.
Awesome.
I only got 2, so don't be mad.
No, that's okay.
I said our strength is the community touching. Tap in. Basically, like I say that's our strong point because we do like as ASAP though like a community. We see our community actually come out and involve into like what we doing, or like not even our community. We got like people from other communities coming out to our community just to be involved. And I say our weakness is probably the beat, the first. I say like I'm not gonna lie, like before this COVID and all that, we used to actually have police officers come in the gym and play basketball with us and like kicking with us before we had this whole Austin plan ASAP. So like I say we need to improve on more like just getting involved with just like saying hey or like just speaking. Cause like young people don't fight all the time unless we fight people. But like the little stuff matters, basically. The little stuff matters. So yeah, that's why I got my two.
Thank you.
I put for strengths, it would be the events, the resources. I'm originally from the South Side.
Welcome.
And
Welcome to Western 290.
I heard a lot of comments about that. Y'all started. But no, moving to the West Side, it does have more of a family communal feel than the South Side.
Settled second.
And I've worked in political arenas on the West Side and the South Side, and it's a difference. You guys just seem to be more family oriented. It's not a lot of competition. And then drill music started on the South Side, so that's just a whole other animal with that South Side. Seriously, it's just another animal. And then the opportunities, I put community relationships, and it's an opportunity to restore trust amongst the community and the police department. I can't speak to any weaknesses because I don't know of any, but just threats, just social injustice, stigma of police, stigma of each other.
Yes.
And just a distrust of each other. That's those two threats.
Thank you.
I put strengths as our CAPS and DCO program because we're able to, follow up on those, and identify certain crime problems and actually build a relationship with the people that are having them and, be able to dive in a little bit more and get to know everybody and what's actually going on and maybe get to the root of the problem. But the weaknesses is beat officers, obviously our calls for service are high, sometimes we are short and that they don't get a chance to be able to follow up as much or build that relationship the few officers like CAPS and DCOs get to. So it's kind of unfortunate. And obviously our goals are obviously to build better relationships, with each other on both ends. For them, for the community to have a better relationship with us, for them to see us as more human and, that we want to help them and we're not, for us as, as well, vice versa, so.
Awesome. Thank you. Co-sponsor.
I think for sure, like, I'm not sure if it would go more to the threat to opportunity, but as a whole, from both sides, you feel me, gotta work on the transparency and get more of an understanding of each other, you feel me, because like we go in so much with these norms or these precursors of what it should be or how a person should react or whatnot, but in reality, we are not being transparent or understanding of what's going on or what a person is going through or how can we, you feel me, resolve situations or whatnot. So I'm just saying, like, as far as, you feel me, be present enough in these moments to be able to get these different perspectives, to be able to see what it is and what it isn't. Because so many times we just judge the books by the cover, or just like y'all was saying earlier about any officer that's not black or whatnot, we tend to treat them, you feel me, or whatnot, how you feel me saying it, but you feel me, regardless of what it is, the transparency don't ever be there, because we always come in with this in the back of my head that I don't like a police officer, or I'm not finna even try to comply with them because they're nowhere near what I go through. I don't think they would, you feel me, go through or whatnot, you feel me. So just the transparency, being able to do them, like I was saying, the beast, to be able to create that foundational relationship before anything, because that's how things are gonna grow. You know, I can see this officer and oh yeah, I was saying you meet on something I do, how you doing? But now that's where the relationship starts to grow, and now we can actually create a foundational relationship to the point where it grows from this and goes to X, Y, and Z. Now my partners know him, or I know his partners, his police partners or whatnot. So you feel me, creates that communication, that diversity between everybody being included or whatnot.
Sweet.
Wait, real quick before Al go, if y'all want to order something, go ahead, because I don't want them to close up on us. So, like I said, they got delicious wraps, delicious potatoes, and I want to let her know I'm going to come over and take care of it. Okay, all right, Ms. Stanson.
For me, the weaknesses for me, I just think our mental health. I think, it's just a systemic mental health crisis. And that got to be addressed systemically. Police officers, fire, us, everybody. The culture right now, in a crisis, a big crisis. And I just always see that as a weakness until that get addressed. Especially us that's out here on the ground doing this work. We got to take care of ourselves. And so, I just think that always prevents a weakness. But the strength, it's me being on the west side, for over 45 years. It's just community for me. The root word of community is common unity. Most areas, even though when I was in the street, it was always a certain love. We always showed love out here to the ones that gathered. And I just think if we continue to use that as our strength and show what's our common unity and consistently to build community, I think eventually we can start to make a difference. Just as the threats and the other things, I look at that as opportunity. To me, threats represents opportunity. So I'm not even going to focus on the threats. I want to just stay solution-based and strength-based. So I'm here with that.
So three is always the number for me. So strengths are officer visibility, community connection, and name and face recognition. The weaknesses.
Wait, visibility, community connection.
And name and face recognition.
Okay.
And then the weaknesses would be response time. If they're out walking, something may happen and we got to run to the car. Who knows? You know what I mean? So response time, time constraints in terms of can't connect with the folks on third shift. With the people. And then I think it's also while walking should have resources included. So if we don't have resources to hand to the community or some type of information, it might be missed opportunity there. The opportunities would be they get a chance to learn more about the community and the culture in general. They get to build relationships, and then they get to learn what's going on the ground, whether that's issues or organizations. And then the threats would be officer safety, obviously, officer turnover and neighbor turnover, which is essentially beat integrity, if you will. and then negative response. People just may not want to see the police walking down their block.
Did you have something?
Oh,
Oh, I guess yours already?
yeah,
Okay.
do the first one.
I don't know. I was busy taking notes here. I didn't think of any. I guess the strength would be for the beat engagement, and this is on the district council level, that we kind of putting ourselves ahead of the game and doing something where we hope to see some activation and some results. Because like right now, I feel like everybody's on a hamster wheel just trying to figure out what we're supposed to be doing. A weakness would be that for some departmental reason, whatever that is, that it can't happen. You know, opportunity is to definitely build relationships and rapport with people that we might least expect. Rapport, opportunity, threat, and I guess I'm just gonna have to second some of the things that DeAndre had, and that is one, officer safety and possible negative responses. So I'm going to congregate all this information, and I guess next month we'll follow back up with where we are. Hopefully between now and then, we'll have had our conversation with the commander about, get his thoughts and feedback and how, we can build this and begin to implement the beat engagement. This was wonderful. I still think this has been our best meeting to date. I just want to say for Roots to Wings, so Rooster Fruit. I'm sorry, I've worked with Rooster Wings too. Rooster Fruit. So normally, monthly, we always have a guest speaker coming in, but we also highlight an organization. And I would like for us to consider them being, if not February, March, for Roots to Fruit to be our organization. And it'll be the first time we've had that kind of youth engagement, because we do need y'all at the table. I don't want to assume anything, and I've worked with young people for many, many, many years, but this generation of young person is different, and I say sometimes I feel like I'd even aged out of because of the time of span. So we won't be able to do those things or even show up in those ways if we don't have you all working with us. So consider that, and we'll be in contact with you all and Aisha. But we'd love for you all to be our special guest. Bring some more young people out with you all, because this is important. And did you say you would consider the community position? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna make sure I send Aisha the link for the listening session.
Yeah, I think I put that application in.
Oh, you put it in already?
Yeah, I think so. If I'm not mistaken, I think I put that.
You sure?
It's a long
'Cause
application
we only got 3 applications.
Hold on. If this was in my email for sure.
Okay, I don't know. Pass those down. Okay, well that was it for my portion. This was phenomenal. I appreciate y'all so much.
Well, before we actually adjourn, our next meeting is going to be February 8th. The location to be announced. Let me first just say that this was outstanding. So I'm going to openly acknowledge my colleagues. DeAndre is doing an outstanding job. Sister Rudis, is there Sister Rudis yet? You get engaged? Oh, okay, not yet. Okay, so Counselor Winters, it's going to be at 6 o'clock. Karen, this is outstanding, so I'm going to actually suggest that maybe we consider doing something like this every quarter because it's outstanding. So that being stated, may I have a motion?
No, you said this is the next meeting day?
I did. I said February 8th.
Okay.
February 8th is going to be at 6 p.m. She asked me what time.
Okay, cool, my bad.
All right, no worries. A motion to adjourn.
I motion that we end the meeting.
Oh, but wait, I thought you was finna vote on quarterly doing this piece.
Oh, you want to do that? Well, let's
No, we
talk
didn't have
about
none
it.
today.
Let's
Don't
talk
worry
about
about
it.
it.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Motion on the floor to adjourn. You gonna say something?
Yeah.
I motion to end the meeting, to adjourn today's meeting.
Oh, second.
Okay, yeah. I got you.
It has been motion and second that we adjourn the meeting, and thank you, Brother Isaiah Brooks, for always
thank
being
you
our
all.
backbone. Everybody
Thank
have a
you.
good evening.
Thank you all so